We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America. Our forefathers weren't the pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us. We were brought here against our will. We were not brought here to be made citizens. We were not brought here to enjoy the constitutional gifts that they speak so beautifully about today. Because we weren't brought here to be made citizens today, now that we've become awakened to some degree and we begin to ask for those things which they say are supposedly for Americans, they look upon us with hostility and unfriendliness.
Oh, nah, Sheikh of the streets. What's up, world? Y'all, welcome back to Real Spit Television, an intersection of culture and consciousness. I got my guy with me today on the TV. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
All right. What's your name, brother?
Faheem here. Real honored to be here. Very respectable brother in the community. Happy to talk about a lot of issues in the community.
All right. Well, you know, the thing about Real Spit, what I wanted to set the tone for was that we want a platform for everyone, for us. And like I talk about with the news is that the news corporations there are only 4 real corporations that own whatever news you're watching. So the news is really filtered, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of knowledge that you may get off, like say a Bloomberg or a CNN, is still really watered down and filtered to where, come on, how much game is the dope man gonna give the, dope fiend? So I wanted to get the brother on here today to kind of speak on some things that, on a personal note, I had just got out, brother, and we connected on Messenger one day.
Right.
And I had been hearing a lot about Bitcoin and crypto in general, but I think that conversation with you really focused my mind. And from then on, I'm still studying it. You know, one thing about the world is that, and you told me that, you said that when you have the time to study, it's different.
Right.
And out here in the world, when you're paying the bills and, just going about your daily life, you can miss out on those opportunities.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, but before we get in that, we want to go over some news and just get your take on the news. Okay, so biggest news for me right now is the murder case for the police officer who killed Brother George Floyd in Minnesota is going on right now. They recently got a huge civil suit, but this is the criminal case. So, what's your take on it, brother?
Well, unfortunately, it's one of the long list of crimes that's been done against innocent human beings, black people. But one thing about this case is, like a lot of them, but this was on camera.
Right.
And not just it was on camera, but it was also viewed on social media, mainstream media.
Right.
So it's clear what happened. It's clear what happened. There's witnesses. We had the whole footage on what happened. So the big thing in my mind that I'm thinking about is not just the case,
right,
but this is, I think, represents a bigger picture here, and
right,
the standing of white supremacy, how it's still supported by the masses,
right,
or is this finally going to be a case where someone faces justice for killing an innocent human being?
Yeah, and I think that's important. Historically, I know that we've had 2 leaders. One, Al-Haj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, and the other previous was Paul Robeson. Both thought about petitioning the United Nations because they wanted to bring the U.S. on charges of genocide. Mm-hmm. So I think, and both of these things were, one, Paul Robeson was exiled. They waited for him to leave the country, and then they took his passport so he could never come back.
Right.
And of course, our brother Al-Haj Malik Shabazz was assassinated. But I think as far as African American go, you said something about a human being being killed. I think that's important because it's not a black man. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to realize that when they report a black man being killed, that's gonna always be the box that is put in. Mm-hmm. So you recently, and I'm touching on this because it kind of connect. You lived in Saudi Arabia for how long?
Almost 10 years.
10 years.
10 years. And just to make something clear, I didn't. Saudi Arabia wasn't a country on the map that I just looked at and said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Saudi Arabia."
Yeah.
You know, I was laid off.
Yeah.
It was like 2009 when Obama was president.
Right.
Actually, 2008, 2009. So right after that, it was a big recession.
Right.
And that goes into to what we're gonna talk about.
Right.
For us economics and money and gold and Bitcoin. It was a recession. So I was forced to move abroad. I was forced to move abroad. I was laid off. I had a family. So I was, you know,
had to make it happen.
I had to make it happen. So the only people that was calling me back was overseas. So me being a traveling person already,
right?
I looked at the offer,
right?
And I left. You know,
right.
I left. So while I was gone, I was teaching English.
Okay.
I was teaching English to primary, middle school, high school, and I was also teaching business English.
Okay.
And while I was teaching business English, I was asked to teach economics. So while teaching, you become a student.
Facts.
You know, so while studying those economics and doing my daily lessons, I started reading a lot about finances, investments, and money.
Okay. Brother, we were talking about this before the show, and we said this is a whole topic for another show, and it really is. But I got to ask you real quickly because I traveled when I was young. And everywhere I traveled to, as an African American, I was always welcome. Mm-hmm. Wherever I went, whether it was Spain, whether it was Morocco, whether it was Mexico, you know, and it was a different kind of acceptance. You know what I'm saying? It was like exotic. We were exotic, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So what I want to ask you is, and not just, I want to make this clear to the viewing public that you're not, you know, when people here travel overseas, worked overseas, teaching English, they think, okay, this guy is, and I'm not saying you're not educated because I know you're educated, but you're a regular black man. That's what I want first and foremost.
Right.
You know, Atlanta,
right.
Outcast, Ben Hill, you know what I mean? His own folk, yeah. So, you know, this type of life is accessible. That's what to all of us.
Right.
You know, but what were your just a couple of anecdotes of you being overseas?
Well, I tell people, man, like, you know, you get grown, you get your driver's license.
Right.
Even if you don't get your driver's license, you got your ID.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the ID doesn't necessarily is to get just to confirm who you are, but it gives you certain abilities, certain things you can do when you have this little plastic paper. And part of the passport, same as driver's license, you get the permission to, you know, you can drive, you go around where you want. The passport opens the door to the whole world.
Facts.
You know. So first of all, before you're a man of Atlanta, man or woman, or a person of Atlanta or a particular city or a state or country, you're a person of the earth first.
Facts.
You know?
Yes.
You're a person of the earth first. You're made from the earth.
Right.
All these boundaries and different things are very recent.
Right.
So when you travel, you're actually opening up. It's like opening up a book. You don't know what's going to happen, and it's actually a command in every book. No matter if you're Muslim, Christian, or whatever, in every tradition, in that tradition, it talks about the importance of a certain travel someone took.
Right.
Someone traveled. You know, even Mary, she traveled to a place in the east. Right. Right.
Facts.
Jesus traveled. So when a person travels, you develop a lot, you mature a lot faster, you experience a lot, and as a black person, as an American, you like a superstar, really.
Right.
Because the only interaction people have with us is over the TV.
Right.
And over movies. And that can be good or bad.
Right.
Because they may have a certain perception of you.
Right.
That you got tattoos.
Right.
You know, you can rap. Or,
right.
You know, you can shoot basketball good.
Right.
A lot of it is true, but a lot of times it's stereotypical, you know. But when you travel, a lot of people really are curious about our experience here.
Yeah, that's what I find.
Because people give their life to get here.
Right.
So somebody who's while I was in Saudi Arabia, I had a brother come to me. He's an older brother too. He said, "Man, Faheem, you American, you Muslim, and you black." He's like, "I gotta talk to you. I know you got some stories." That's a real story.
Man, that's for real.
He said, "I know you got some stories." So people are infatuated by that.
Right.
Just our story.
Right.
You know.
And I think once we begin to develop more as a people, I think what we'll begin to see is how to capitalize on that.
Right.
You know, like you said, with our culture. I tell my son all the time that hip hop culture is probably the biggest social invention in the last century. Mm-hmm. It's a culture that has really started to dominate the world. When I went to Morocco and I met a guy from Senegal and he wanna say a rap for me. And I said, man, this thing is so, but I think we don't capitalize off of it. You know what I mean? We have to understand what images we're sending out to the world when we talking. You know what I'm saying? When we making a song, we bitch, ho, da da da. I hate my own women. You know, and so people see this because I work with a lot of Mexicans, and you know, as a traveling man, I think you begin to be kind of introspective also. So I look at my people like, okay, maybe I can understand some culture clashes that we have with other people because of us. Right. You know. But so you were in Saudi for 10 years.
Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. So I was incarcerated for 13. So being away from society, for American society, for a decade. Top 3 things that kind of you saw different when you got back about home. Because, you know, when you come back home, you familiar when you know it, but your experiences make you look at it a little different.
Oh, wow. That's a good question, man. That's a real good question because it's so many things, you know, because you can always see things better when you're out your box.
Right.
When you're out of your comfort zone.
Right.
You're forced to see a lot better about yourself,
Thanks.
About the world, about your people, about home.
Right.
So I would say the top 3. I would say one thing that's very common is that I didn't know that most people don't know about money. I'm not just talking about having a lot of money.
Right.
Not that. I'm talking about just understanding what money is. What value is,
right?
What
inflation
is when the prices go up, the prices go down. When you get the stimulus money, you know what I'm saying. I know people. I didn't realize that most people were financially illiterate.
Right. Facts.
And what I'm talking about is more stuff like investment.
Right.
You know, because one thing that I learned when I was overseas that a lot of money. A lot of the people who have money, they don't necessarily get it because they're smarter. They don't get it because I think one big misconception is about they come from old money.
Right.
You know that is true for a lot of people, but a lot of people are just in the right place at the right time.
Right.
With certain things.
I think a part of again me being gone. I realized that. What do I, I read a million books, but when I started, I think the first book I read, economic books, was The Creature on Jekyll Island, about, how the Fed was established, and that's what interested me, because I'm like, man, these folks can manipulate a whole economy in certain ways, but if you don't know about it, you don't know which way to move, you know what I'm saying? So I think, like you said, a big misconception is, that is mysterious. It's something that I can't grasp. Right. You know what I mean? Something that the average person just can't grasp, and that's why I wanted you on here.
Right. Well, there's a couple of reasons why for us that illiteracy.
Right.
A lot of times, a lot of people have a misconception. Well, for one, a lot of our people are addicted to quick money. And if it ain't like a quick, like flip, they don't really too like interested in it. You know what I'm saying? That's one. Two. In our communities, in our schools are taught differently.
Mm.
So when you go into certain schools in the city or every environment,
Right.
there's always a bridge of a big difference between what's taught in certain schools
Right.
about like finances,
Right.
economics, credit,
Thanks.
real estate,
Yeah.
precious metals. Those are taught in certain schools, but certain schools is just the regular math, rounding, multiplying, calculus. Then that's it. So a lot of times, a lot of people they miss out on a lot just from their environment, the culture. A lot of times seeing the quick, or they may think big money is only in certain avenues of entertainment,
Right.
or not. The only people that I've seen with money is rappers,
dope dealers,
and athletes.
Right.
And
Not even you talking about even on the legal tip.
Right.
Yeah, I feel
you. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of people just not used to hearing that other narrative.
Right. Of grinding.
Right, and that's why I try to connect with people. I'm not really, trying to force nothing on nobody, but this is a whole nother world that you should know about.
Man, brother, I'm gonna tell you, when I got out, started watching Bloomberg. I said, look, I'm gonna force myself to watch Bloomberg. And the biggest thing because I'm a huge sports fan, so the biggest thing that caught me, I'm like, these guys follow these tickers and follow these news, just like dudes in the sports world is saying, so and so just got traded.
Exactly.
So it's still exciting. It's really more exciting because it's your money. So you playing, you're on the court actually. But that's what caught me. My attention was that I equate, and I think that's for us. That's what we have to do, like equate it to something that we kind of already know.
Right.
But look, I'm gonna take a quick stop. I want to give a big shout out to my sponsors. I want to give a shout out to Ready to Go Printing, RTG. What's up to my guys, Hodge and Mooley? Y'all can follow them on Instagram at Ready to Go Printing. I want to give a shout out to Tees in the Trap. Y'all check them out, TEEZNDA Trap on Instagram. I want to give a shout out to my partner, Hippie Head Chef. You know what I'm saying? I need to get you on here to cook that vegan meal. I want to give a shout out to DJ Youngin, Heavy Grind Radio. We in the building. So I'm with my guy, Faheem. And we really want to get into, I want to get into the Bitcoin, man. I ain't trying to wait no more, brother. I love money.
Let's do it.
So, you gave me the best, and I watched videos afterwards, but that initial explanation of Bitcoin that you gave me close to a year ago, I think was the best, the simplest. Mm-hmm. And this is what Real Spit about. A Chinese person can understand Chinese better. Right. You know what I mean? So these ideas, I want to get somebody that can relate. So I'm through talking, man. What's Bitcoin, bro?
Okay. Well, first of all, to understand Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, and when you understand, first you have to go to have an economics lesson, and that's what a lot of people first they have to be patient with themselves. Before they start getting into, what the Bitcoin looks like, how you buy it, how much it is, first you got to understand some of the background. Mm-hmm. And sometimes a lot of people don't want to study.
Like where the money at?
Right, they don't want to study.
But
the reason why this is to understand what's giving it value. Is to understand what's giving it value.
Right.
That's the main thing. And to make a long story short, to sum it all up, it's all about supply and demand.
Thanks.
And that's a basic economics 101. There's nothing complicated about that. Right. You have a supply and demand.
Okay.
When you have something that's a limited supply and the demand goes up, it makes the value. And the value is sometimes reflected by price, it makes it increase or appreciate.
Right.
When you have a supply that keeps increasing, even if you have a demand for it, but once the supply starts to go more than what's demanded of it, then it makes the value go down.
So,
and that's what we have going on with paper money.
Right. So I just want to kind of tie it in for folks like, okay, Gucci, these things, these high designer we value them because they're not common. So that's what you're saying. If everybody had it, it wouldn't hold that same value.
Right. Well, everything is given value by a community of people.
Exactly.
So the people determine what's valuable.
Okay.
And how much is valued at.
Right.
So it could be this water. It could be, the car you have.
Right.
When you bring it in, there's certain factors that determine that value, but for the most part, it's about how much someone will be willing to give you for it.
Exactly. How much they value it.
Right.
Right.
So when we talk about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is, first of all, it's one of about 6,000 other cryptocurrencies. That's one thing.
You were the first person to tell me that. Go ahead.
Okay. So when a lot of people talk about crypto, who's not really into crypto, they know mostly, for the most part, Bitcoin.
Right.
But Bitcoin is just one cryptocurrency.
Okay.
And each cryptocurrency has their different use case. And we talk about Bitcoin because it's the biggest and it's the oldest. They call it the grandpa of all the cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
And the use case of Bitcoin is a storage of value.
Right.
It's a storage of value because it's only 24 million that'll ever be in existence. 21 million, that'll only ever be in existence.
So it's not like money where they can keep printing.
Right.
Right.
That's the first thing about Bitcoin. It has a limited supply. So think about all the people. So let's be practical. Let's think about all the people in the world.
Right.
6 billion people, and you have this currency that is not controlled by any particular government.
Right.
Or organization or man. It's what you call it's decentralized. And I don't know how to get too technical
about mining and
but it's decentralized. So decentralized means it's not controlled by any particular group of people or person. Right. Compared to your paper money, which we call fiat currency, the dollars, the euros, the pesos, that's fiat currency. This is what's called centralized money, meaning that there is one person or entity or organization that has the say-so about this particular currency. And the economics part of it is these governments are printing endless amount. They're increasing the supply, so that's making the value of the dollar and the euro, all these other paper monies go down.
So I wasn't trained as an interviewer. So as you talk, it's just like a conversation. So how do you, because I have a certain way I look at it. How do you view all this stimulus money then, bro?
So in the short term, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
In the short term, everybody is getting money, but in the long term, it's bad because what's actually happening is when you see stuff, the gas, when you see stuff, the water, when you get food, as you notice, it's getting more expensive.
Right.
But it's the same water. It's the same gas from the same wherever.
Right.
It's the same food, chicken. It's the same egg. It's not some new breed of chicken.
Yeah, you feel me? It's the better chicken.
Right. So what's happening is those things are not necessarily becoming more expensive.
Right.
What's actually happening is the dollar is decreasing in its purchasing power or its value. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's happening in the long run where you have this printing of money. And the reason why it's so important is because the dollar is the world reserve currency.
Right.
It's the currency in the world in which all business fluctuates through is the dollar. So the key word is confidence. So in the short run, people are getting some money.
Right.
But if that money that I'm giving you is making things more expensive, then you're not really getting no money.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If you get $1,000 today, if I get somebody $1,000 today, and the stuff that you buying, the average is $1. But with that $1,000 that I gave you, I just lessened the power of the money, so that makes that dollar that you buy next month $2.
Exactly.
So I didn't give you no money.
Right. It's kind of an illusion in a sense.
It's an illusion, you know what I'm saying? But in the short term,
I got it.
I got some stimulus. So people buying their TVs and all them different things.
Yeah.
So when Bitcoin comes in, so if you holding dollars and the power of the dollar is decreasing day by day,
you losing money.
Ooh,
you losing money.
So traditionally, people used to hold the value of that $1,000, for example. as soon as I get the $1,000, I'll, instead of holding it in something that's depreciating, I will put it into something that either is going to store that $1,000 value or it's going to go up. And traditionally, those things were things like art, real estate, or gold. Mm-hmm. But now the new thing that people are putting their money in to hold that value is Bitcoin.
Okay, so look, we're gonna take a quick break. You know what I mean? Hey, we ain't over with because we still got Ethereum. Then we got my thing is precious metals.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to get into.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll get off into that. Oh, now we're back. Sheikh of the Streets, Real Spit TV, Brother Faheem. Just giving a talk on economics in general, and in particular Bitcoin and precious metals. See, this one thing I understood, brother, is that the most valuable thing in the world is free, and that's knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, once I really grasped that, I said, man, really, I can get into anything long as I'm willing to do what you said, study. So, and it's funny how America is money driven, but like you said, we don't know really much about money. Right. Everybody talking about the bag, but I think when we talk about 2021 and multiple streams of income, you really can't leave Bitcoin and precious metals out of that.
No, you can't.
So I know you touched on it that Bitcoin is not the only crypto. Just briefly, what are like the next top 2 cryptos, and what are their usage? You know, what you were talking about, their usage.
Their use case.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the thing with cryptocurrency, first of all, everyone has to acknowledge that we live in a digital world.
Thanks.
And it's becoming more digital. And your money is already digital. Most people are not holding 100% cash. Nah. Most people hold the majority of their holdings in digital in the bank. So if you got a debit card, if you're using credit cards, if you're using Cash App, PayPal, Western Union, you into crypto already.
Facts.
You into crypto already. The only difference is you are using centralized platforms, meaning that someone has to give you permission to do a transaction. So if we go on Cash App, I can get declined. If I want to send you money.
Right.
On PayPal, they can say yes or no if I decide to send a payment. So that's one of the things that cryptocurrency opens up to, is the world of, if I agree to do business with somebody, then I don't need some third, if I'm following the laws and everything, I don't need a third party to stamp if this is approved or not.
Right.
Also, it never closes. So if I want to send something through a bank, I have to wait. It has to be open. If it's on a weekend, excuse my language, but if it's on a weekend, I'm asked out. I gotta wait till Monday in order to do a transaction, and it's expensive.
Yeah, they charging those
fees.
If
I'm sending a wire fee or something like that. So what cryptocurrency does, it has a certain freedom aspect about it. Has a certain convenience aspect about it.
Right.
And you have this technology that a lot of people are calling the Internet 2.0, because the last thing to be 100% digital is the financial world. If you're old enough, you remember Blockbuster Video, you remember taxis, you remember before it was an Uber, all this stuff, Uber Eats, everything is digital. So what's about to happen is the financial world is about to turn 100% digital. So you actually have a chance, because what's happened before, and that's when we talk about gold and silver, and all these other commodities, cryptocurrency. What happens with wealth is that one thing studying is that wealth always comes in cycles, and it's a famous saying among investors that wealth isn't born or died, but it's transferred. It's just one wealth transfer going to another aspect of a different market. So I would say if everybody remember the age of the internet.
Right, the .com boom. Yahoo, yeah.
That was a wealth transfer.
Facts.
Because you had your Apples, you had your Facebook's come out of that.
Google,
YouTube.
the new hierarchy.
And, yeah, just look at everything that's open.
Amazon.
And if you was able to be on that page of history with your money,
Facts.
and this one thing I'm trying to tell with our people, is one stat that our people, black people in America, have a $1 trillion purchasing power. $1 trillion. And if that was its own country, it'll be the 13th biggest country in the world economically.
Damn.
So we got money.
We got money.
But if you putting it into stuff that's depreciating, you know, your air fryers, your big teen screen TVs. I got all that stuff too.
Yeah.
I'm not, get it wrong, but the same way you have that mind frame to buy those things, you can purchase things that are appreciated. And one of those things is cryptocurrency.
Man, look, I saw a meme on the internet said, what was the first stimulus, like $1,200?
Right.
They said if you would have, last March, if you would have invested that whole $1,200 in Bitcoin, and then like by September, that would have been like $4,500 or something.
Like 5,000.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And that's when Bitcoin was 17,000.
What is it now?
In May, it went down to about $3,000,
right.
$4,000. December, it was like 17. Now it's 54. And it's not stopping. The reason why it's not stopping, that's when we're getting the gold too, is because the purchasing power of the dollar
is going down.
The
confidence.
The confidence. So people
looking for other ways.
To look at other options. And the thing that's different from crypto and precious metals is precious metals was traditionally the go-to insurance.
Right.
Because if I know this paper is failing, I know something that's going to hold value.
Right.
And how I know it's going to hold value? Because it's held value for the last 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Wherever you go in the world, this is where we're getting the gold and silver.
Right.
Wherever you go in the world, I don't care your religion, I don't care your language, I don't care your nationality. You pull a coin of gold out, they know what that is.
Facts.
You don't have to explain nothing.
They know
what that is. And you can make some things happen.
For sure.
With your silver and all that. And we don't know that in America because we never had to go through a certain crisis to where our money was trash.
Hold on, brother. So you mean to tell me that within our lifetime, people in other places of the world know this?
They know this. You can look it up. Venezuela.
Yeah.
Mozambique. You can look at what's happening in Turkey now.
Right. I just read about that.
Right. So what's happening for the people don't know is that people are bringing their money in like stacks. And it's only worth buying a bottle of water or something.
Yeah.
And they bringing something that to us look like 100 G's stacked up on the table. And it's only worth, you can buy a thing of water from it. It's like it's trash.
You feel?
So people in other countries, they're familiar with that. So they know not to put 100% of my confidence in this paper government money. I'm going to put it into other things that hold its value. And what's similar to gold and Bitcoin is not another man's liability.
It's decentralized. Gold is decentralized. Can't nobody control gold.
Right. It's not another man's liability, and that's what that's what happens with stocks. When you investing in Apple's doing good, but you're dependent on the performance of Apple from the decisions of certain men who are managing Apple, and you're hoping that if they manage well, then the value will keep going up or going down. But with gold and Bitcoin, it stands on its own.
Right.
Gold has its track record, and Bitcoin has its technology.
Right.
And both of them have their use of different, their similar use case. And as we go into other cryptocurrencies, they have different use cases. And I'll name a few. But with Bitcoin, it's a storage of value like gold. Okay. So Bitcoin and gold actually, so people ask, well, I can't go to the store and buy nothing with no Bitcoin or with no gold. But you can actually, but it doesn't serve that purpose. It serves as a storage of value. Right.
Like I saw a Bitcoin machine in the corner store in the hood.
You know what I'm saying? But someone won't go to you won't go to Nike and say, I can't use my stocks to buy Nike. Yeah. Or I can't use my land
You understand it's not that kind of financial tool.
Right. That's not what it's used for.
Right.
It doesn't serve that particular purpose. It serves another purpose. And you have other cryptocurrencies like Litecoin and Dash, where they serve as like cash use cases.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's not what Bitcoin is about. But Bitcoin and gold is a storage of value. People keep their gold, and y'all can go all y'all grandmama house. You know, if they over 50, 60.
Yeah, they got gold.
They traditionally used to all keep jewelry, you know, because they knew no matter what happened, this is always going to serve its purpose. So you go throughout the world, you'll have people that went through certain refugee, immigration crises where the only thing they had was grandmama's earrings, some coins.
And that kept them fed.
And that kept them fed, you know. But a lot of people say, well, I don't see that really happening in America. And that's cool, but the other story is that this dollar is weakening.
Right. And
people are running to a place of safety. And that's what gold and Bitcoin is. And I don't mean to be long with it, but just to end, gold and Bitcoin, they're like brothers.
See,
but they kind of like they get into each other because Bitcoin people call gold the analog.
Oh, so it's like the new school versus the old school.
It's the digital, and when you look at the digital form of anything, it usually passes the analog.
Right.
But with the analog, it's saying what gold is saying, like, hey, bro, I've been here 5,000 years.
Yeah. And I ain't going nowhere.
And I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna be here.
Yeah.
You've been here for 10 years, but we don't really know.
How you cool.
In the long term, but I've been here.
That's big homie. Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But Bitcoin says, okay, gold, you can't travel with gold, really. You go travel somewhere, you know, you probably have gold coin, but when you have silver, if I want to take a $1,000 worth of silver, it'll be like a big like chest.
Yeah. So
you get on a plane, most places you can't. You gotta fill out some forms. You gotta
It's easy. It can be stolen.
Right. I can't break it.
Yeah.
If I just need $100 for emergency, and this coin is $1,000 worth.
Right.
I can't break it up.
Yeah. It'd be like
to get, you know what I'm saying. So that's what Bitcoin allows. It's because it's digital.
Right. And also, how hard is it to steal a Bitcoin? To steal somebody's?
And that's the thing.
Exactly.
It's the security is real big, and that's when we talk about blockchain technology, which is a whole nother conversation.
That took me a long time to really understand.
Right. So basically, blockchain is just a secure ledger.
Right.
A place where all transactions are kept. So it's real secure. The only thing about Bitcoin, since it's not centralized, it's yours.
Right.
You control it. That means you're responsible for it. You send it out, you get it. So if you mess up while using it, there's no 1-800 number to call.
It's over with.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's yours.
Right.
So if you're sovereign, your money is yours, and it's something that's in your possession. That's where people like me come in. I try to educate people. It's not as hard.
Right.
But once you get the framework of how it is and how it works, then you know it's real easy.
I think the coming back from prison, and the younger generation, they so digital and so in tune with these things. And I met a little guy, he 19, 20 years old, and he was working a regular job and just started buying Bitcoin. And he said something to me. He said, man, this is the first time I got something that can't nobody take away. And I think it spiritually, the idea, you said the word sovereign. That's important, you know what I mean, for you to be in total control of your finances. So I kind of want to segue, because I told you I want to talk about it, into the precious metals. What turned you on to it? What led you down that path?
Well, like I said, when I was overseas, I was starting to teach economics.
Right.
And while studying economics, I started seeing one thing while studying economics, you start studying about people who have money.
Right, facts.
And one thing that I've started to see that was real common with all of them is once they got a certain amount of profit, they'll store it. They have a section that you have a part that from your money that you use in your checking account that you use for everyday stuff. No one is saying that gold and Bitcoin is for that. Nobody is saying, your savings account. You got a particular savings account that you have for, emergencies, things happen.
Right.
You got your savings account. That's cool too. But in the long term,
you got $500,000 in the bank somewhere.
You got that cash in the form, traditionally it's gold.
Right.
And silver.
Right.
And they will hold it because that's a storage. So if I was to show you the chart of the dollar, it'll look like this. It'll just be going down. Right? So the key word, confidence. So in 10 years, or if I want to pass some money down to my children, or just 10 years,
right?
Am I confident keeping my hard-earned money into something that I see that's falling?
And I think this is important, the concept that you're talking about, because for the average person, it's simple as this: you're losing money. Because your dollars, if you work them 8-hour shifts and you put that money in the bank, over time you're losing money.
Right.
Because the money is what you're saying is it's losing value.
So traditionally, people, when they get, and when I talk about storing wealth, I'm not just talking about a billionaire. I'm talking about you got $100.
Exactly.
That's wealth. That's yours.
For sure.
That's something that you work hard for.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, one misconception that I really want to break is that when we talk about gold, silver, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, you don't have to be a millionaire,
right.
a millionaire. You just storing value,
Right.
So traditionally it was gold and silver.
Okay.
And I started studying that. All of them did that. And their holdings, and that's when you see the price of Bitcoin and gold. Gold not doing too good right now.
Right.
Because young dude, Bitcoin, and took the show.
Bitcoin running it right now.
In December it was 15,000. Now it's 54, 56, and it ain't gonna stop. And the reason why is because they print money. So
the more
and they not gonna stop.
Right, they not. See, that's the thing. They not gonna stop printing money.
Right, because that's the only when you that's going into the economics and history of it. When you operate on that system of which is a system based off of credit.
Right.
And that's when you get into a little history too. That traditionally the dollar was backed by gold.
Right.
At one point, and President Nixon took the dollar off of the gold standard because it starts to limit how much you can spend.
Right, they can't print when it's linked to gold. The government can't print
There's
it.
There's a limit on it.
Yeah, because it got to be the gold.
So you have to abide by certain rules, and you have to have a certain discipline.
Right.
But when we get into these governments and how the last poet said, they, white man got a God complex.
For real.
He think, okay, I'm not gonna have no limits, so I'm just gonna take it off of this standard, and I'm gonna base it off of credit and debt. To where credit is not really real.
Right.
I mean, it's real, but it's living off of the sense that you owe me.
Right. But I think, and I could go so many places with that, but I think and I told you in the off time that you posted something that really kind of sparked my mind, and you said you called gold and silver God's money. Right.
That's what what's his name? The Japanese guy or the Chinese was Kiyosaki, what's his name?
Kiyosaki, yeah.
That's what he said.
Over for fast though.
Gold and silver is God's money, and when you look at every tradition, whether it's Islam, Christianity, and the Bible, the Torah, it's all a reference when it's talking about money. It's talking about gold and silver.
Right.
And it's actually a verse of Quran that says, "Verily, the things that men desire from this world, the first thing it mentions is women, sons, and children, and then the next thing, gold, silver, and then it said riding beast, which we could take cars in this day and time.
Yeah.
Also like land.
Yeah. It ain't
it's
changed,
a verse
man.
that goes through
what's
valuable for men.
Right.
So this is actually something that will always have a relevance.
Right. God telling you,
because this is God's words.
Yeah.
And when we get into it, God's words doesn't have time.
Right. Exactly.
It's not created.
Right.
You know, it's eternal.
Right.
So when you read that verse, that could apply for any time. So the time that we're living in now, you know, gold, silver, these are what's called commodities.
Right.
These are things that are used in society on a daily basis. And if we was to show you a chart, like I said, everything is in cycles. Commodities at one point in time was up here.
Right.
Now it's down here, meaning it's very undervalued.
Mm.
It's cheap. And there's certain signs traditionally which will show you when this is about to flip, go back up to being the most valued thing. And that's where it's at now.
That's funny because a guy with some money, a lot of money, told me one time, he said, man, recessions are when the rich get richer because things are undervalued and they have the money to buy these commodities up
and
at
they
a
have
cheap
to be
price.
used.
Right.
And they so it's not really a question of if, but when. Because these are things that we use in our everyday society. So, for example, silver. We see what was happening with the whole electricity being power.
Right.
You know, and solar power.
Right. Yeah.
Solar
yeah,
power.
yeah.
You talk about the electric cars and Tesla and
Mm-hmm.
solar power. Those batteries are made with certain components that are in the earth. One of them is silver.
Mm.
The other one is copper. Also nickel. So these are commodities that are real, like cheap. You don't go out and go buy some copper.
Yeah.
You know, but there are certain, you know, stocks or different things that people own that represent those particular commodities, and silver being one that's very like used not as just as a precious metal or store of value, but also it has an industrial use.
Right.
You know.
Right.
In the whole world.
Kiyosaki said, what did he say? He said, they're not making any more gold. They're not. And he was just talking about he invests, and I never thought about that, in gold and silver mines.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And my point is that we can all get in on it. You know what I'm saying? On some level, we can all start to secure our finances a little bit better.
Right.
You know, because as black people, we feel the brunt of all of these cycles that you're talking about. We feel the brunt the hardest. Mm-hmm. Because in any economic system, the lowest person, you know what they say, it rolled downhill.
Right. And we just looking to spend money.
Yeah, man.
You know, even when you holding that money, it's still losing its value. So, you know, I tell people, start looking at these other things because this is how the people make money.
Right.
And it's not nothing that's gonna come tomorrow. But when you look at something that's going up in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, you know, time goes by real fast. You know, so when you check it the next day or the next year, you be like, wow, this went up a whole lot.
And I think, brother, you just pointed something out as far as investing in general, that the short term as an investor, I mean, it depends on what kind of investor you are, for sure. But I think, again, it goes back to the culture, the microwave culture, where you're saying people want the quick flip. But I read a quote the other day, a stat rather. It said that most millionaires didn't become millionaires until after the age of 50.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's not this idea that you're going to come up overnight.
Right. There's this real famous investor that made a lot of money investing, and he said, and people was asking him, well, what would you say is your best skill to how you got your money? And he was saying that it wasn't necessarily a skill. He said that the ability to be patient, to be able to sit and just wait and not pull the trigger.
Yeah.
He said that was what made me the most money. You know, just to be able to purchase something that's way undervalued.
Just wait.
Ain't nobody looking at it. And you buy as much of it as you can and just wait.
Just fall back.
And that's all it is. That's what I tell people. They learn how you make money with crypto, how you make money with precious metals. That's all the concept is. Is buying something. So when you go overseas, right?
Right.
When you go overseas, before you go overseas, you got to go to the they call it a currency exchange.
Right.
And you got to exchange your dollars for whatever country you going to.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So that's the same thing when you talk about cryptocurrencies or precious metals. You're going to places where you're actually changing your money, and that's really a good thing. Because you're not buying something from a store,
Right.
you know,
Right.
or where something is just like depreciated.
Right.
You're basically, you just exchanging money.
And yeah, facts, brother.
You're exchanging money. So if you're exchanging money, you're safe to know that you always got
Right.
money.
And I think that people, I don't know why people look at Bitcoin like it's something risky, like something dark, something fishy going on. Like, it's just money.
Right, it's just money. So like even gold and silver, like it's still money.
Facts.
You know, it's still money.
We turned out on the paper dollar here, man.
The paper dollar,
We
right.
turned out.
And the thing that's really the kicker is when you study history, every empire that was the ruling empire during their time, there's always been empires. That's something that everyone needs to understand.
Yeah.
And that empire, its money was the world reserve. It was the world.
Right.
It was what was used in the world at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And right now it's the dollar. And one thing that's real interesting, when you look at the previous history of all the world reserve currencies, all of them had one thing in common when their empire was about to fall.
Not fiat.
And within the last 100 years of when it was in survival, one thing is in common is all of them started to debase their currency. And this is facts. This is history. All of them started to debase their currency.
Right.
And what that means is they started lowering the value of it by making more of it.
Right.
So in the last 200 years, it was making more of the paper money.
Right.
You know, traditionally, all the way in the Roman Empire, when the coins were made of gold and silver, how did they debase theirs? They used to they used to make the coins with less and less gold and silver.
Right.
So they started to put more copper in it.
They finessing for they putting it.
Right.
They
still,
putting it's
still
cut.
calling it the coin. Right. They cutting it up.
Oh man.
And so when you see this happening now,
It's still confidence though.
and the stimulus, people who know history are knowing that, okay, this is a big sign here.
Right. When they print money.
They print money. So this is the reason why Bitcoin is 50-something thousand. This is the reason why gold and silver is about to go what they call parabolic. It's because they print this money, and the world is losing confidence
Right.
in it. So traditionally, what countries are doing, they always been buying gold. They always buy gold.
Right.
But what's happening now is a lot of corporations and businesses, instead of keeping their balance sheets, their profits in dollars, they starting to buy Bitcoin. They're starting to keep their profit in something that's holding.
Yeah, it's a better bet.
21 million.
You know it. They got to have it. Why keep it in dollars and you see what's going on with the dollar?
Right. So I tell all people to play with this.
Right.
With Bitcoin, gold, and silver. You know, you don't have to go put all your savings and life, value in it, but buy some. See how it works, and just buy some, and forget about it. Don't be looking at it every day because it's real volatile.
Right.
Volatile meaning it's gonna go like up and down. You may look at it today. It may be 55,000. I think today it may be like 58 right now.
Right.
But tomorrow it may go down to 55.
No, you'll go crazy.
You'll go crazy like looking at it. But if you just like forget about it, even just like the gold, you don't like open it up every day.
Yeah, take a look at it. It's still there. You know it's there.
You just put it in your safe and just forget about it. It's like an insurance.
Right. So look, brother, we kind of running out of time. You already know, we could keep this thing going, but I'm happy to have you on the show to talk about these things, man, because money is important to everybody. It's needed, but when you don't understand it, you just kind of a victim of these cycles you're talking about. So, brother, I want to thank you for coming out. I follow your Facebook page, Gold and Precious Metals. But go ahead and tell.
Okay, I have the course coming out soon. You could catch me on Twitter at Crypto Metals 1. That's the number 1, Crypto Metals 1. Also on Instagram, Talibdeen, TAALIBDEEN, Talibdeen on Instagram and Twitter. Look out for the course. You can DM me anytime if you have questions. We could go at it.
Oh yeah, okay. So this not your only time on here, bro. Cause like one thing about it is, I love the show. The show is for me too. So you know, if I even if it's just me learning, I love learning, brother. So this ain't gonna be the last time, God willing, that you're gonna be on here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Man, look, brother. Hey, been here, been real. My brother, Tyler Dean, brother Faheem. Y'all follow him on Facebook, and man, just take these jewels and run with it, man. Alright, so look, man, we'll catch y'all next time on Real Spit Television and Shake the Streets, man. Y'all have a good day, stay wise and civilized. Oh, nah.